A banker is a fellow who lends you his umbrella when the sun is shining but wants it back the minute it begins to rain. A classic is something that everybody wants to have read and nobody wants to read. A clear conscience is the sure sign of a bad memory. A habit cannot be tossed out the window, it must be coaxed down the stairs a step at a time. A lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is putting on its shoes. A man cannot be comfortable without his own approval. A man is never more truthful than when he acknowledges himself a liar. A man who carries a cat by the tail learns something he can learn in no other way. A man's character may be learned from the adjectives which he habitually uses in conversation. A man's private thought can never be a lie, what he thinks is to him the truth, always. A person who won't read has no advantage over one who can't read. A person with a new idea is a crank until the idea succeeds. Age is an issue of mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. All you need is ignorance and confidence, and then success is sure. Always do right. This will gratify some people and astonish the rest. Anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured. Be careful about reading health books. You may die of a misprint. Clothes make the man. Naked people have little or no influence on society. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear. Do something every day that you don't want to do, this is the golden rule for acquiring the habit of doing your duty without pain. Do the right thing. It will gratify some people and astonish the rest. Don't go around saying the world owes you a living. The world owes you nothing. It was here first. Education, the path from cocky ignorance to miserable uncertainty. Facts are stubborn, but statistics are more pliable. Few things are harder to put up with than the annoyance of a good example. Get your facts first, then you can distort them as you please. Golf is a good walk spoiled. Good friends, good books, and a sleepy conscience, this is the ideal life. Honesty is the best policy, when there is money in it. Humor is mankind's greatest blessing. I am an old man and have known a great many troubles, but most of them never happened. I didn't have time to write a short letter, so I wrote a long one instead. I have been through some terrible things in my life, some of which actually happened. I have never let my schooling interfere with my education. I have never taken any exercise except sleeping and resting. I was born modest, but it didn't last. I was gratified to be able to answer promptly. I said I don't know. If it's your job to eat a frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. If you pick up a starving dog and make him prosperous, he will not bite you. This is the principal difference between a dog and a man. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. It is better to be a young June bug than an old bird of paradise. It is better to deserve honors and not have them than to have them and not deserve them. It is better to keep your mouth closed and let people think you are a fool than to open it and remove all doubt. It is better to take what does not belong to you than to let it lie around neglected. It is by the goodness of God that in our country we have those three unspeakably precious things: freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, and the prudence never to practice either. It is curious that physical courage should be so common in the world and moral courage so rare. It is easier to fool people than to convince them that they have been fooled. It is easier to stay out than get out. It is noble to teach oneself, but still nobler to teach others, and less trouble. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. Kindness is the language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see. Let us be thankful for the fools. But for them the rest of us could not succeed. Let us live so that when we come to die, even the undertaker will be sorry. Never argue with stupid people, they will drag you down to their level and then beat you with experience. No amount of evidence will ever persuade an idiot. Patriotism is supporting your country all the time, and your government when it deserves it. Substitute "damn" every time you're inclined to write "very," your editor will delete it and the writing will be just as it should be. The art of prophecy is very difficult, especially with respect to the future. The best of us would rather be popular than right. The best way to cheer yourself is to try to cheer someone else up. The best way to cheer yourself up is to try to cheer somebody else up. The best way to find out if you can trust somebody is to trust them. The best way to make your dreams come true is to wake up. The cat, having sat upon a hot stove lid, will not sit upon a hot stove lid again. But he won't sit upon a cold stove lid either. The difference between the almost right word and the right word is really a large matter. The difference between the almost right word and the right word is really a large matter, 'tis the difference between the lightning bug and the lightning. The fear of death follows from the fear of life. The fear of death follows from the fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time. The 1st of April is the day we remember what we are the other 364 days of the year. The human race has one really effective weapon, and that is laughter. The human race has only one really effective weapon, and that is laughter. The human race is a race of cowards. The human race is a race of cowards, and I am not only marching in that procession but carrying a banner. The lack of money is the root of all evil. The man who does not read good books has no advantage over the man who cannot read them. The man who does not read has no advantage over the man who cannot read. The man who is a pessimist before 48 knows too much, if he is an optimist after it, he knows too little. The man who is a pessimist before 48 knows too much. The man who is a pessimist before 48 knows too much, if he is an optimist after it, he knows too little. The more I learn about people, the more I like my dog. The more things are forbidden, the more popular they become. The more you explain it, the more I don't understand it. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know. The most interesting information comes from children, for they tell all they know and then stop. The most remarkable thing about my mother is that for 30 years she served the family nothing but leftovers. The most remarkable thing about my mother is that for 30 years she served the family nothing but leftovers. The original meal has never been found. The only thing that stands between a man and what he wants from life is often merely the will to try it and the faith to believe that it is possible. The only thing that's constant is change. The only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about. The only very marked difference between the average civilized man and the average savage is that the one is gilded and the other is painted. The only way to keep your health is to eat what you don't want, drink what you don't like, and do what you'd rather not. The proper office of a friend is to side with you when you are in the wrong. The proper office of a friend is to side with you when you are in the wrong. Nearly anybody will side with you when you are in the right. The public is the only critic whose opinion is worth anything at all. The reports of my death are greatly exaggerated. The right word may be effective, but no word was ever as effective as a rightly timed pause. The secret of getting ahead is getting started. The trouble ain't that there is too many fools, but that the lightning ain't distributed right. The trouble with the world is not that people know too little, but that they know so many things that ain't so. The two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. The very ink with which all history is written is merely fluid prejudice. The world owes you nothing. It was here first. The worst loneliness is not to be comfortable with yourself. The worst loneliness is to not be comfortable with yourself. The worst thing in your life may contain seeds of the best. There are lies, damned lies, and statistics. There are people who can do all fine and heroic things but one, keep from telling their happiness to the unhappy. There is no sadder sight than a young pessimist. Thunder is good, thunder is impressive, but it is lightning that does the work. To succeed in life, you need two things, ignorance and confidence. Training is everything. The peach was once a bitter almond, cauliflower is nothing but cabbage with a college education. Truth is stranger than fiction, but it is because fiction is obliged to stick to possibilities, truth isn't. When angry, count to 4, when very angry, swear. When in doubt, tell the truth. When we remember we are all mad, the mysteries disappear and life stands explained. When you fish for love, bait with your heart, not your brain. Whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it is time to pause and reflect. Work consists of whatever a body is obliged to do. Play consists of whatever a body is not obliged to do. Wrinkles should merely indicate where smiles have been. You can't depend on your eyes when your imagination is out of focus.